Hello, and welcome to Shades of Pleasure, a podcast celebrating pleasure, sexuality, and the vibrant, inclusive spectrum of love, gender, and relationships. I'm your host, Mo, and with me are my co-hosts, Melissa, Wayne, and Kelly. And together we hope to dismantle tropes that no longer suit us and change the narrative towards more authentic living.
Hands-on work is very important because sometimes, there are multiple reasons why someone would want hands-on work. And, we have new people working with us these days that do hands-on work. And I think you've dabbled in it, Wayne. And, I think
Kelly, can
I
you
have,
start with sharing what hands-on work is?
um, well, actually, I'm gonna let Wayne do it. I feel like he can do it from firsthand experience.
Oh, we're passing the buck now?
I'm still getting dressed. Go.
I'll go. As a psychotherapist that's been done it in tandem for like almost 2 decades, the thing I love about hands-on work is that it simulates a relationship from the beginning to the end. How surrogate partner therapy works is it basically, the client meets with the therapist, and then they meet with a surrogate partner, and they meet in tandem. So surrogate partner, therapist, surrogate partner, therapist. And the surrogate partner guides the client through the stages of a relationship, essentially warming up, getting to know each other, building trust, understanding consent, helping the client get comfortable with their body, and then, slowly moving into more intimate work. And that can vary from client to client. That can be, some clients need, full on like intercourse. Some clients need some other kind of support. So it journeys, and it's based on the client. But typically in surrogate partner therapy, they simulate, they go on dates, they, meet, they build trust, they do trust building exercises, they help their clients get more comfortable with their body, and then they engage in intercourse, sex, all different kinds. They learn how to give, how to receive, how to ask for what they want, ask for what they need. It's a lot of that. And then in between, they're seeing the therapist, because what happens a lot of times is the client they might become flooded with emotions, or they might become activated or triggered with old memories and or traumas, or they might close down. Like, all sorts of emotional responses can potentially happen in that process. And so the surrogate partner and the client are supported by a psychotherapist, sex therapist ideally, who understands this and can kind of like handhold the process. And the sex therapist and the surrogate partner, they work in tandem. So they decide together, well, maybe the client needs this, or maybe the client needs less of this and more of this. And, the goal being to protect the client and make sure the client has, is safe and understands what's going on, and isn't being activated and triggered, or it isn't being harmed by their activation and triggers more than is possible, because it's possible. The other piece that's really important to talk about is these clients develop attachments to the surrogate partner or the intimacy partner, and that attachment is how the work works, because they develop like a connection. Maybe they feel in love, right? Like, they develop those like new relationship energy hormones, and they experience that. So at the end, there is a very it's a very deliberate, intentional breakup, right? Learning how to like break up in a positive and healthy way. It's not always happy. It is very sad, and clients are very sad, and but that's part of the process too, is like, how do you part ways in a healthy way? And after that, typically the client has no more contact with the surrogate partner. They should cut ties completely. Some intimacy partners will do like a 2-year, but I personally believe that cutting it off completely is the safest thing for the partner to one, or for the client to one, get over the partner, because they have to get over that, and two, they have to go out into the real world and meet people and do this on their own. And if they think they're going to get back together with the surrogate partner or the intimacy partner, they may not fully let go, and they may not fully go out and do this on their own. So that's kind of my spiel about it. I'll let y'all take over.
I actually have two follow-up questions. I don't know if it's, you can share, say if it's important before we get into Kelly's shares, but one question is generally seeks surrogate work, and why? And then the other question was, I forgot, so we'll just stick with that one for now.
It may come back to you.
Yeah, it might come back to me.
I think that runs the gamut. And, to sort of speak to one from a completely different side, this was just a case study from grad school. There was, and it was the first time I'd ever heard of surrogacy work. I'm like Mo. I don't do the hands-on work. I'm the supporting therapist in a triad with the client, the hands-on person, and then myself. But in this case study, this was a woman who had a really pretty traumatic start to life and had been trafficked, and she was sort of saved from that world, and then she was just trying to live a normal life out in the world, and she was so isolated, right? Like, was terrified of men, was terrified of a lot of women, and was truly isolated. And so with her therapist like, look, just go to the grocery store one day. And this had nothing to do with any surrogacy work or anything, but just go to the grocery store. Well, she found herself alone on an aisle in the grocery store, and then a man came into that aisle, and she totally freaked out, and she had PTSD from it, and she started shaking all over. Well, the man saw this woman who looked like she was in distress, so he came over and tried to help her and touched her, which really freaked her out. And like, she just didn't know how to operate in the world, and that was really upsetting and depressing for her. She's like, how am I ever going to have any connections? How am I ever going to have community? How am I ever going to potentially maybe even be in a relationship? And so that's when she and her therapist decided, okay, maybe surrogacy work would be good for you. And so then it sort of walked through that process, and it started with she and the surrogate partner being just in a really large room together, not even talking. She was over in one corner of the room reading. He was over in the other corner of the room reading. And then slowly but surely they got to where they were sitting at a table together, sort of playing cards or something. And then it got to where he took his shirt off and was just in the room with her with the shirt off. And that's as far as she wanted to go, just to, she never wanted anything more than that with the surrogate partner. And so it can be almost just body doubling. So it can be something on that end, or, more of what Mo's talking about, where someone's just trying to learn how to be in a relationship, where someone does want to go as far as intercourse. And so, I think that just kind of shows it can be extreme on either side. But there are a lot of reasons that people would need sort of body doubling and someone to teach you how to be physically in a space with someone. Because I know we all have different experiences. Like, maybe when you were young, you experimented and played spin the bottle and went to a co-ed school and understood how to engage with other genders. And maybe you didn't. But at the end of the day, if you can't relate to people and you can't be in a relationship, you're going to be very isolated. And that's a terrible way for humans to have to exist.
Yeah. To further answer your question, Melissa, when I used to be the in tandem sex therapist, the majority of the clients came in because they were unable to have intimate relationships with people, and so they couldn't move forward in their lives. And the ages range. Like, we had young women as young as like 22, 23, ranging to, and I worked with a male surrogate partner mostly. I did work with a couple female surrogate with male clients, but majority of them were female clients with the male surrogate. And they would range all the way up to like 50 years old, and a 50-year-old woman who had never had a relationship, never had, never really was able to do any of that. And so it was life-changing for them, having these experiences, because it creates a corrective emotional experience. It's like, oh, I am allowed to have this, and here's some tools or some maybe a pathway or how it can go down, right? Like learning how to do that. And I actually heard, I don't know how true this is because I never fact checked it, but I heard that in Israel that women would finish college and then they would see a surrogate partner before deciding to get married because it would help them forever for the rest of their lives, in their married lives with their husbands or whatever they decided to do. They would now have these tools. It was basically like sex and relationship school after college.
Mm.
And I really loved that idea because, you all know, I mean, we're all therapists here and we work in this field, and everybody comes into our office struggling with how to communicate about sex, how to talk about sex. And the four of us, we all stumbled through our own relationships trying to figure out how to be intimate, how to talk intimacy. We just so happened to like make this our profession, but like no one taught us either. So we've made it our passion to go and inform people. And in much the same way, I think hands-on work, specifically what we're talking about today is surrogate partner therapy, is a unique way to help people have this like corrective emotional experience. Like, oh, this is how I get to have intimacy, and this is what it looks like, and this is how it feels. And so now they have a template that they can
Mhm.
follow.
Mhm. I feel like I got some stuff to share, but also Kelly, I wanted to hear because I kind of interrupted with the asking, what surrogacy work is. And I wanted to see, was there something specific that you had that you wanted to share about, about
Well,
the
no,
topic?
it's pretty similar to what Mo's talking about, but it's sort of with a man with a more mature, like in 40s male who's a virgin who's wanting to work with a surrogate. So I was just sort of introducing that as a topic for us to have, but we'll
Mm.
go ahead and share whatever you want to share.
Well, it made me think about, I mean, two things. What Mo had shared about what surrogacy work is and who seeks who could seek surrogacy work, which is pretty much anybody. And then your share of that case study about the grocery store, it reminded me of like one very, very significant memory that I have early on in my, relationship with Wayne when I really started to recognize like my own kind of attachment stuff and whatnot. Um, there was this one particular, I mean, it would happen more than once, but this one particular day that I remember going to the grocery, like we were at the grocery store, me and Wayne. I think maybe I might have had my first child born or not. I can't remember. But I remember this one particular day Wayne was like, okay, just the way he grocery shops, he's like, okay, you go do that, I'll go do this. He's very efficient, very lot of that. And I remember I had like a very real and visceral kind of like mini breakdown. I was like, why are you leaving me? I really felt it. Like had been to grocery shopping with him before, and I remember feeling irritable and kind of feeling like I would kind of get moody, when he would do that. But this one particular time, I just like had enough, and I really, really felt. I was like, and it all hit me. It's like, why are you leaving me in the grocery? Like, I want to go with you everywhere in the grocery store. And that really opened up my eyes to my attachment experiences, in relationships. And later on, fast forward many years later, also what it reminds me of, I've never seen a surrogate, um, I never had a surrogate partner officially or professionally, but it does make me think about how my non-monogamous relationship with Wayne kind of was like that to an extent, it was really very much this like safety net to, I mean, one, just, corrective experience between him and I, but then also being able to have that freedom, and openness to and foundation between him and I to go out and still continue on with my explorations and yeah, and relationships with people. And I remember I remember, there was a time where I was like, I made a decision. It's very specific. I said, I want to better my relationship with men, and I'm going to go do that now because I felt like often just felt very intimidated and by men and, had a hard time having my own connections and relationships with men that didn't involve Wayne and even on a platonic level. So I set out to do that and also to do that with women as well too. So when you mentioned Kelly about like she just had a hard time with both men and women, it really reminded me of a period of my life. So anyway, just wanted to side share that little bit that it brought up for me and how much we talked about like, oh, well, this is not a non-monogamy topic, but it just really highlighted kind of the parallels to my experiences in non-monogamy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that ties it together really well because you you know, you obviously were resourced enough to identify that, oh, wait, I'm feeling left. I've got to deal with this. Okay, I don't like that. I'm going to go out and change it. And some people need help doing that. It sounds like you sort of fumbled through the dark to do it. And this is a way in which they get trained professionals to handhold and walk them through.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you have relationships, you have the opportunity to have corrective emotional experiences. We do fumble through it, but we have our
Yeah.
partners, and our partners are our real partners. And there's people that don't have real partners, or they struggle to
Mhm.
meet partners, or they get scared and they can't, close the deal, so to speak, or they can't take it to the next level. And they've been doing it like that for years, or like you were saying, like didn't feel comfortable talking to men or don't feel comfortable talking to women. And like for those people that want it, there's a way, and I really loved it because I often felt when I opened my sex therapy practice, I was like, talk therapy only helps so much. And then
Mhm.
at a certain point, we kind of like, all right, now you got to go out in the world and do it. Now you got to, and so when we work with a surrogate partner in tandem, it opens the door to like more work our work gets to broaden, and we get to help our clients actually practice it in real time, which is cool.
Yeah. Wayne, you can help me figure out if you think this is helpful to talk about and if you're even willing to talk about it. But Wayne and I have actually been in a triad together where he was the hands-on, I was the therapist, and then there was the client. And so I think, and I think that was one of your first clients, and it was early on with me working with in a triad like that. But it was really interesting because I would, talk with her and do the sessions, but then Wayne and I would meet too. And so it really, uh, when somebody else has visibility into your vulnerability that way, you can really start to dissect things and you can really figure out, okay, what's going on here, what's coming up. And to have two different people sort of weighing in on that, I mean, it really is just, it becomes like a mental health team. Right. I mean, I don't know, Wayne, do you think that's worth talking about, our shared
Oh
client?
yeah, yeah. I think that it does so much right because like a person can say one thing to somebody else, right, and say, hey, I did this or I did that, I showed up in this way, but they're held accountable for really doing the work and really going through the process because now they have two people that are having a conversation. So everything is very on open, visible, transparent on the table. And so it really helps with actually really having to do the work and not just talking about doing the work. So I thought that was super helpful, yeah. And also again, like you said, like something may could happen or some feelings can come up that could feel really hard to share, but then they get to share it with the therapist, in this case, and then and the therapist can have a conversation and say, hey, like so this, like just bringing things, keeping things very transparent. I think that's awesome work.
Yeah, and I'm having a hard time right now at remembering exactly what she came in saying her goals were. But I do know we did, there's a lot of front loading. Y'all know that's one of my favorite words. There's a lot of front loading, like, okay, this is what this is going to look like. It doesn't have to be rigid, but it definitely has to be very boundaried. Kind of like Mo was saying, like it's good at the end to say, okay, there's going to be an end to this, and that end is for real and forever in some cases. And we did a lot of work on the front end of like, why do you want to do this? What are your goals in doing this? And then what is the treatment plan? Like what steps do we actually have to take to get you to reach those goals? Do you recall what the goals were at the beginning?
Yeah, it's so funny because it was one of those things where just really just trying to get comfortable being in, first of all, just being comfortable and being in space with another man outside of someone she had been with for so long, right? And so just trying to see what her level of comfort was with even being in space with another man, So yeah, she
Well, I
wanted to
think
get
it
com
was about her body too. Her wanting to feel more comfortable in her body, and I think she was with someone considerably older than her, and she was a little bit older at the time. And I don't think any kind of physical intimacy was on the table any longer. And I think there was an element of there'd never been much satisfaction in any physical intimacy, but she knew that was possible, and she knew that that's something that she wanted to experience and that she wanted to have, you know, in this life that she was given. And I think she felt like it was sort of time to do it or give up on it, right? And I think she worked
yeah.
on it.
Yeah, it was both and because now I remember. Yeah, it was definitely because I remember t moving really slow because it was just because when Mo was talking about just being in the space together, I remember just kind of like sitting there and sitting apart and kind of trying to even get comfortable with starting to close the space as we start to have sessions and kind of being able to even sit closer to one another to see how that felt. So yeah, it was both and.
Yeah, Mo, I know that I don't have it in front of me right now, but maybe you could get it in front of you. But I think you've written out something pretty similar to a treatment plan of like these would be the different goals you hit, and this would be what you could expect and how to get there.
Yeah, I have created a plan so just to help you all when you do it because at Los Angeles Sex Therapy we offer something similar. It's not surrogate partner therapy, but it is called we call it intimacy partner therapy. So it's very similar. And because I've had experience with it, I think that like you know those practitioners that are coaches, obviously not therapists because it's outside of our scope of practice, but the coaches that are comfortable with this kind of work, um, this it's guidelines on like there's guidelines on touch, and we go from non we start with non-sexual touch. It's all non-sexual in the beginning, right? Non-sexual touch, non-sexual consent, and then it slowly progresses to consensual. And this is a list of like 50 different goals or something like that. There's
Yeah, I remember it being long.
It's really long, and so you can really tailor it to the client, or you can go through every single step with the client. If the client is like the one that you and Wayne had back then, because I think she had had sexual partners, but she felt really unsure of herself and unsure of her body.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's pretty typical, I think.
What
yeah,
what it was that she felt she had surrogate partners before. And it just didn't work out for multiple reasons, and so she was kind of uh leery on trying it again, but
yeah,
Kelly had talked to her, and so she became open to wanting to try it again. And the fact that we was bringing such a different type of experience, and and the way we talked about it, and what we were our goals were and what we're offering, she was open to it, and she
yeah. Because
actually.
it had been something this had been a quest that she'd been on for a good number of years. And like I said, I dare say she was like in her late 60s, early 70s.
She was older, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and it did like these are probably not her exact words, but the sentiment was, I either need to make this happen now or I'm just going to give up on it. And I hated to hear that because I'm like, if there's some experience you want to have in life and you have the opportunity and the means and the resources to get it, let's get it for you. Let's figure this out. And we
For
did.
sure. We used to get clients a lot that would reach out and do like an inquiry, and they would come and go, and like we would hear from them, and then they would disappear, and then they'd come back, And it was just like, you want to do this. You know that it's going to change your life, but why aren't you doing it? It's such a powerful thing to do, but in our culture, we we have the stigma around, and I'm putting these in air quotes so that you can all can see it, paying for sex, right? And it immediately goes there. And I'm not going to get all political on this call, but I think that that is one of the biggest hangups for people. People will gladly pay for therapy, but paying for surrogate partner or intimacy partner therapy somehow feels for a lot of people like there's something wrong with them,
Mm.
right? And so there's a lot of shame attached. I mean, there's shame attached for people going to see a sex therapist, let
Yeah.
alone a surrogate partner. So there's a lot of reasons why people don't do it. And so when they finally agree to do it, it's like celebration time, like they're
Yeah.
doing something really major for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with me working with clients around, like when I have men clients come in and they're dealing with ED and whatever, and I suggest, maybe working with a surrogate, right? Or hands-on. I think that why I think it's so beneficial or can be so beneficial is because there's no expectations. No one's judging you. You get to slow way down and you get to like really take your time and kind of go through the process of feeling all your feelings and emotions as they're coming up for you. What's happening, what's changing, what shifted, what are you feeling like and someone speaking to you in such a positive way and looking and kind of like being able to hold your hand through the whole process and like it's okay and kind of so to help you get out of your head and back into your body. I think it's amazing.
I think in addition to the
I love
stigma
that one.
around paying for sex, I had it and I lost it. It's also this the limitation of like that transformation, that these types of experiences, can only happen in like quote unquote, and again, air quotes, quote unquote, real relationships or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, but for some reason, like h- hiring somebody, paying for someone to relate to you, to have this like intimate relational experience. I don't know. It just it's like they don't often see the value in that.
Mhm.
It's like but I want it's not quote unquote real, or it's not like, but they want to have the real relationship, but also they don't, or they don't know how, or they're struggling to, or whatever the case. But like hiring somebody though, to have this 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 experience, a transformational experience, I don't know, sometimes doesn't they're hesitant to do that
Yeah.
too.
And
Well,
even sorry. Uh
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. And even with you saying that, it made me again goes back to I just wish that people could really see the benefit of it all, right? Because like even when you're out in the world and you're with a partner, right? A lot of times you feel afraid to ask for the things you want because of judgment and whatever the case may be, right? You have the opportunity to ask for the things that you want and learn how to ask for those things in a way that feels good to you, and it's just it's so many benefits. And that's why I love when you created the program, Mo, because I was like, man, I think that so many people would benefit from this or could benefit from it, right? If people could to understand, like, man, I'm paying for something that's going to last me a lifetime and it's going to change the way I view sex, the way I think about sex, intimacy, relationships, and it's going to all be positive because I'm going to be able to take these tools that I'm now giving into the world and get the things that I actually want and not
Mhm.
just feel like I'm performing or giving something away and not getting something in return.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if if you want to learn how to play the piano, you have you can go and pay somebody to teach you how to play the piano. If you want to be an architect, you can go to school and learn how to be an architect.
Yeah.
But just because I'm always the devil's advocate, I just want to throw in, if there's anybody that's listening is like, that sounds great. And also, I don't know that I could do the hands-on stuff. Yeah, Mo's right that this can only go so far in talk therapy, but there's still a lot that can be done in the talk therapy part. There'd probably be more homework on your own to go out and do things, but still you can still gain a lot if you don't want to do the hands-on part, right?
Yeah.
For sure. I think
And
most people do start with
Yes.
psychotherapy to see how far they can take it on their own.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that many people who do finally get into surrogate partner work, who finally decide to, bite the bullet and do it, are those that realize that, okay, I've been going to a therapist for a year now, and they've given me homework, and I'm going out and I'm going on dates, and I'm still struggling. I'm still hitting all these blocks. And yeah, we can go see a sex worker, right? Like you can go see a sex worker. Obviously, as therapists, we're not going to tell our clients that. Um, that is something that a lot of people do, right? There's a lot of options for that. And I will say this: sex workers are great. They're good at it. They know what they're doing. You will learn a lot, but surrogate partner therapy or intimacy partner therapy is a program. It is, you know, 10 to 20 weeks long. It's ongoing. And so you get to do the whole process, right? Like from the beginning to the end. And you can do that with a sex worker. But this, I think that this is a little bit more. Yeah, I think what you're saying is true. Like, oh, it's not the real thing and whatnot. But I think that, like, why wouldn't you want to do this? I want to do it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I
me
would
too.
do it. I think
Hmm.
it's I think that it can benefit all of us to, like, we all have so much hangups and trauma around intimacy and attachment. And we all do. We just do. We're just too young when our parents are trying to fumble through being a parent.
Yeah.
And so we all struggle with it, and we all grew up in this culture. So if you can afford it and it's something that you've thought about,
About.
this is a this is your call to really get it. I will say this: it is not legal in most states. It is only legal in California. I think in New York it might be legal, and there may be like a couple other places, like, I don't know, like Delaware or Maryland or something like that, or maybe DC. I don't remember, but so if you don't live in California, you can do at like an intensive program where you come out to California, you stay for an extended period of time, like 2 weeks, and you see the intimacy partner every day. I've been in that triadic process as well with people that traveled to California to do it because they wanted it. It was that important to them. So,
To your point, Mo and Kelly, I mean, one at the top, I just think there's so much value, in having the surrogate partner and the tandem with the therapist. And I mean, it's just, yeah, really helpful. Also, highlighting that to Kelly had mentioned that it doesn't, it's all depends on what you're coming in for and your goals. Like, it doesn't have to get to having sex, with your surrogate partner, if that's not part of what your goal is. So you can very much still have that experience with the surrogate and work with the surrogate, and not have sex, if that's somebody's concern, or
yeah.
even hands-on or anything. Like, I know we call it hands-on, but actually hands-on.
Yeah.
Um, and then to your point, Mo, it's like, it makes me think about, again, I said I didn't have an official surrogate partner or anything like that, which I haven't. But one thing that I also did do was something, similar, was go to cuddle events.
Mm.
And that was really transformative for me. And I really loved how they had like an hour orientation prior to the event around consent, and we went through exercises and activities with asking for what we want, being able to say yes, no, negotiating and things like that. And so that was kind of an adjacent to surrogacy work or whatever, not adjacent to surrogacy, you know what I mean, but it was an
Yeah.
option, it was an alternative, yeah,
For
where if
sure.
we don't want
Very
to,
valuable.
if we're in a state, where it's not legal and we can't make it out to an intensive or whatever, like you said, Kelly, somehow becoming resources, finding different resources where we can create these similar experiences for ourselves. They're out there. There's people, there's lots of things out there. It's available.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I've definitely recommended cuddle parties and, all manner of different things to different clients that need it. And the reason I created the intimacy partner program at last was because the surrogate partner program felt like it always had to be like a full arc program, and the intimacy partner program is all sexological body workers, so you can, like, it's more tailorable. Like if you just want 1 or 2 sessions, that's fine, or if you want to do the whole intimacy partner program, that's fine, but they're all trained hands-on sexological body workers essentially. So
Mm. Kelly, you made me think about the client, and I just remembered it. I remember them at the end of it. They were just like, wow, I didn't even know that intimacy can be like this. Like I didn't even, like, these are things that I just didn't even think about and realize. And I mean, I remember thinking like, wow, like you've gone this long and you getting experience. I was just excited and happy that they were able to experience it at all. Especially after going that long without even thinking that it was achievable.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the ultimate somatic experience, right? And when I say somatic, I mean within your own body, whether somebody else touches it or not. Yes, that can be a part of it, but it doesn't have to be a part of it. It's that you're getting in touch with your own body, that you're understanding what's happening within you, that your brain and your body are communicating, and that's what's informing how you're feeling things, how you're engaging with people. And it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm so glad we were able to talk about this today. Like I was coming on today's call and I was like, I feel like we've talked about non-monogamy. I think maybe we've exhausted it for now. Not to say that things
Yeah.
don't come up and things like that. And I actually um, thought about this hands-on piece, and so I'm glad Kelly. It's like, Kelly, we're on the same page. I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought it up. And with the program that I also run at last, the Pleasure Psych program, I am closing it down because I want to revamp it and I want to add this. Like I want to have trainings where me, you, the three of us, and you're welcome to, of course, Melissa, come on and we like train on these things together. So anyway, just a sort of
I
like
Yeah.
think
a
I love that, Mo. I
prelude.
think, I mean, just this call, this session, whatever, what am I trying to say? Session call. I said all the things except for what it's not. This episode. I was like, oh man, I would have loved in another lifetime where I had more energy for it. I think I would have loved to take that path, the
Me too, kind of, Melissa.
yeah, I know the sexological intimacy and sexological body work. Like, I think I didn't learn about that really, really until later, where I was already kind of in therapy. I'd already done all my hours, but but I think that would, I
Yeah,
would,
now it's illegal. It would be illegal for us to do it now. I mean, unless we
yeah,
completely switched paths.
yeah. I
We
mean,
can't.
but even just with like Mo's program, because Mo, you were talking, you doing also training the
Yeah.
intimacy coaches, yeah. So,
Yeah, just the
um,
training piece, obviously, with Wayne's
mhm,
help, because Wayne
Yeah.
yeah.
actually
Yeah.
does it. So
Yeah. Melissa's always been a natural. She's been doing it for so long and so many years without any title or any word given to it. She just naturally did it. I watch her how
Mhm.
she operated, and I was just like, man. And I just remember people just like, man, this is amazing. Like, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we love Melissa.
Oh, thank
we
you.
do love Melissa.
In another lifetime, me and Kelly are intimacy and sexological body workers.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see, I can see it.
It's
I
a
can see it.
parallel world. I know, right?
Parallel.
It exists. It exists. um,
So funny. Good,
all
good.
right.
I like that. Yeah, and I'm happy to, make a switch into other topics, broader topics, because I'm with you, Mo. Like, I think we
Yeah.
really exhausted non-monogamy
Yeah,
Look,
we
for
did.
now. For
We
now. Yeah.
started this podcast at the beginning of 2025. Or no, 2024. So we did a full
Mm.
year, two
Wow.
years. 20,
Jesus.
we've done 21 episodes on just non-monogamy. So I'm
mhm.
going to
Wow.
branch out and
It definitely benefits some of my clients. I tell my clients about this, and
yeah.
send it to them, and so because they have some benefits. But yes.
Yeah.
I just show up and yap. I don't even know how to find it. Is that terrible?
Well, and it goes out. It's attached to the last Substack, so it's part of the last Substack that goes out once a week. So Jamie, one of our sex coaches, writes lovely, tidbits about sex and intimacy, and she sends the podcasts out. She markets the program, and she markets all of our services. So it's
Well,
unheard.
I love it, and I love y'all. I have a lot of sex therapy to go and do this afternoon, so I got to jam.
Mhm.
Mwah.
All right.
Next time.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Talk
Bye.
to everybody soon.
Okay.
Bye.
All
Bye.
right.
Thank you for listening. Shades of Pleasure podcast is currently unsponsored and is brought to you by Los Angeles Sex Therapy and Last Collective in partnership with Shades Therapy and Shades of Non-Monogamy. To support our endeavor so we can continue to bring this pleasurable content, please visit our Substack at shadesofpleasure.substack.com. Thank you for listening, and until next time.